My number 3 cornerback in this draft is a guy that I absolutely love. There are some questions about his health, but if you can get past that, this guy's a stud. I'm talking about Greg Newsom, the second cornerback out of Northwestern. So here's a guy that, not the biggest, as you can see, at about a $190, but man, is he a ball player or what? Let's flip his card over and talk about what he brings to the table. Strengths, height, and length. You're talking about a guy that's a little over 6 feet tall and comes with a little bit of length, you know, some real range. You can look at him and tell he's got some reach on him there. Got some really good athleticism and speed. He's a 4.39 40 guy. Jumped a 41-inch vert and an 11.1 broad. So the athleticism is definitely there. And then when you turn on the tape, you see him go up and get balls out of the air. He's got 1 interception in his career. It was a ball that he had to go up and get. He's a guy that is a very good athlete. That's probably putting it mildly. He's a tremendous athlete, really. Very fluid hips, oily hips even, okay? Very light feet, you know, ninja-like. Very quiet, moves at a very rapid pace. Here now, gone in a second type of guy. Tremendous change of direction. No free food, no freebies underneath. You want to eat, you're going to have to pay. Physicality, he's a very, very willing tackler. Again, he's not in that next category up, but he's willing to throw his 190-pound frame around. I don't think you can tell him that he's not 205, which is probably at times to his detriment. But that's what you want. You want a guy willing to go out there, balls to the wall, throw his body around, and whatever happens, happens. It's football. Shit happens. He's an LLCer, and he's got CNC ability. So look, locate, and contest. That's the name of his game. He's always looking back for the football. Does a tremendous job of getting hip to hip and then turning and locating the football. Just outstanding job of doing that. And then he's got that click and close ability. So you want to run the 8 back to 5, or you want to run the 12 back to 10, or you want to run, looks like you're going deep and vertical on me, and then you want to break it off and run a deep 12-yard out. All right, I'm going to stick my foot in the ground. I'm going to be right there in your hip pocket when you try to catch this football. So his ability to click and close, stick his foot in the ground and drive on something coming back towards the ball or breaking out or in, exceptional. Competitiveness at the point of catch, again, I put him up there with J.C. Horn and Fatu Melanfonwu and all of these guys, Patrick Surtain II, just super competitive at the point of catch. Recovery speed, this guy doesn't get beat deep, period. Like, there are corners in this draft, like Paulson Adebo, for instance, or Caleb Farley. You can beat him deep on a double move. This dude, he's not for your shenanigans. Okay, is it an out or is it an up? You pick, but once you make your decision, that's when I'm going to run with you. What you're not going to do is get me to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. I jump the out, you go up, and now I got problems. And that's the discipline aspect to his game. Shit just doesn't get by him. Like, you might get him for some chump change underneath every now and again. And even then, I was listening to him talk at his pro day. And he said, I can't stand for a receiver to catch anything. Not even a 2-yard pass. It irks me. It bothers me. You can tell. You see it on the field when you watch him play. He doesn't even want you to get the loose change underneath. He's defending every blade of grass, but still. Because usually with guys like that don't want to give up the short change. They don't want to give up the loose change. They don't want to give you the chump change underneath. Those are the guys that get beat because they're so aggressive on the underneath stuff that you can get them to bite. And then you can get them deep. Well, he's disciplined enough to not bite on anything that's a double move related, but yet still with enough agility and closing ability to be able to still get down and contest something underneath. So that's a rare skill. He's versatile. Can play inside, can play outside, can play from press man, can play off man, can play zone, eyes keying the quarterback. I watched him do it all, and I watched him do all of it proficiently. So this is a guy that I'm telling you right now is, I think, a sleeper in this draft. I don't hear enough people talking about Greg Newsom II, honestly speaking. But you get to his weaknesses. Only one career interception. That always gives you pause. Does he have true ball skills? You're talking about a guy that played in 21 games, which is not a lot of games, which we'll get to here in a second, but only one interception. You got 24 pass breakups, only one INT. Why is that? And for me with him is a lot of times he is there, but he's not there in enough time to make a play on the football. So he's there when he needs to be, but not in enough time to pick it off, if you understand what I'm saying. So there maybe a little bit more awareness, maybe a little bit more instincts to see where this ball is going. And again, that's part of the reason, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand with why he's so disciplined and he doesn't get beat deep, because in order to pick off passes, sometimes you have to take risk. And sometimes they're calculated, sometimes they're reckless, but they're risk nonetheless. He's not one of those big time risk takers. And because of that, I think the interception numbers suffer because of it. So I think his discipline and the inability of receivers to get over the top on him is also a cause for only one career interception. You know, sometimes you get lucky too with interceptions. When you watch some of these guys that's got 7 interceptions in their career, or they had 8 interceptions, you know, 3 or 4 of those things, they got thrown to them, or right place, right time. Their teammate batted it in the air and it just falls into their lap. And they're like, oh, look what I found. Some guys aren't lucky. They don't get those. And when you're a really good football player, they don't throw to your side. So you don't get as many opportunities. But I digress. 1 interception. So you question the ball skills with Greg Newsom II. His angles to the ball upon completion are, they do cause a bit of concern. There is a little bit of cause for concern there, because there are times where he's so aggressive coming downhill, and if he doesn't make the play on the ball, you're like, bro, you're not in a position to get this guy on the ground now. You just kind of took a poor angle to making a breakup. And look, more times than not, he's going to break it up. But what happens if you don't? You come flying downhill on a comeback towards the sidelines, and you take a sharp angle downhill and you don't get the ball, and that guy's still in bounds and he turns up the field, and you're outside and the safety's all the way on the other side of the field. How is that not a 68-yard catch and run touchdown? Like, we can't have that. You know, if you give up, it's okay, you just gave up an 8-yard completion. It needs to be 8 yards or 9 or 10, and then he's out of bounds or he's down on the ground. And sometimes he comes flying down at a sharp angle. He doesn't get the ball, and he doesn't get the guy down on the ground either, because he's not in a position to make the tackle. You know, what you're always taught is secure the tackle first. That's why you see a lot of guys, when they're breaking up a pass, they got that arm wrapped around the waist. Now, they tell you, do not wrap and turn. But you can put your arm there. Just don't turn the receiver. Why? Because if I swipe and I miss, I got that arm around the waist, I can wrap up and drag your ass down with me. If I don't have that arm over there and I miss, deuces. So his angles to the football upon completion sometimes are a little sketchy. Finally, his injury history is something that I think makes people pause I mean, he's a frail body guy at a $190 as is. And he had an ankle injury that cost him 8 games in 2018. He missed 3 games in 2019. He missed another 3 games in 2020. He missed 14 games total over a 3-year span at Northwestern. Never played a full slate of games his entire career. A lot of people were disappointed because Northwestern was having one of their best seasons in program history this past year. They're playing Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship. They are just giving it to Justin Fields and the Buckeyes defensively, which Northwestern hung their hat on the defensive side of the ball this year. And Justin Fields is struggling. He's been picked off twice. They can't get into any kind of offensive rhythm. And he gets hurt in the second quarter of that game, doesn't return. And you could tell once he left the game, I'm not saying that Northwestern's defense completely fell off the grid because they hung in there. They hung tough, but they missed his presence in there. It changed things drastically for them. And a lot of people, that left a sour taste in their mouth. Like, this guy had a stage to go out and prove to everybody what kind of a stud he is, and he got hurt again. So that's something that I think people are definitely weighing with Greg Newsom II in this draft is, can we get this guy and keep him healthy and on the field? But again, if you can get past the injury history, to me, he's one of the best 3 corners in this draft. I've got a mid to late first round grade on him. I don't think he gets out of the first round, personally. But again, how much do teams value injury history in a year where we're hearing a lot of teams struggle with the medical for players because there was no combine? So they weren't able to gather all of the medical information that they needed, that they are accustomed to getting on a yearly basis with these prospects. They weren't able to do that in one central location this year at the combine. A guy like Greg Newsom II might be one of those guys that may suffer from that. We'll see. I comp him to Darius Slay. I see Darius big play Slay written all over him. If he can start making some plays on the ball like Darius Slay, their games are very similar. The size is similar. Their ability to move is similar. A lot of what he brings to the table looks just like Darius Slay. And just like Darius Slay, his ass can't stay on the damn field. And Slay is a guy that you know at some point is going to have a hammy or an ankle, and he's going to miss 3 or 4 games. That's Greg Newsom II right now. Hopefully that changes at the next level. But right now, Greg Newsom II is my 3rd corner in the 2021 NFL Draft.
Louie